From the great's inhuman cardio leaving the best fighters behind begging for air, to his unbelievable career, making him one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, here's why fighters fear Alex Volkanovski. The UFC is known for having cardio monsters, but even they can't keep up with Volk. You see, most fighters are used to training for a 3-round fight, stretching it out for 5 at the max. But with Alexander, rounds aren't a problem. He doesn't only manage to last the match, he maintains his flawless form till the final buzzer. His opponents, on the other hand, look like they had the life sucked out of them. It's not like Alex holds back to keep enough gas in the reserves. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you look at Volk's style, he is almost always on the offensive. It's hard to imagine all that explosive striking leaves anything left in the tank. But somehow Volk seems to have found the cheat code to unlimited stamina. And unfortunately for his opponents, he uses it as a calculated strategy in his fights. If you take a look at Volk's recent winning streak, most of his wins are via decision. It's clear, Volk knows his enemies are going to gas out in the championship rounds, while he's still fresh on his feet. I mean, just look at how Alex and Islam Makhachev compared at the end of UFC 284. Even though Islam has got a good gas tank on him, he looked like he was about to pass out in there. Volkanovski, on the other hand, looked like he came back from a light jog. This guy is just unreal. Even his striking is considered a work of art by MMA experts. And rightfully so, because even the best strikers in the UFC like Max Holloway just can't seem to beat him. You see, Volkanovski is not one to shy away from an all-out slugfest. He can trade blows face-to-face without a problem. But the scariest part about Alex is that he's not a one-trick pony. He's insanely versatile. When it comes to strategic and calculated battles, Volk might be the best technical fighter in the whole division. His seemingly straightforward approach keeps the enemy on the defense, giving him the opportunity to close in the distance and deliver a brutal beatdown. You can only hold your guard up for so long when Volk pulls out his diverse arsenal of explosive punches. Everything from his uppercuts to his devastating overhands, the Aussie doesn't hold back in really hurting his opponents. The secret behind his striking, all that hardcore Muay Thai training. It's not just his punches. Volkanovski is super agile and can throw kicks with ease, which comes in super handy when his opponent is keeping their distance. But by far, his mastery of feints is one of his greatest weapons. Volk has perfected the art of reading fighters, and based on how they react to his feints, Volk can target their openings, create traps for them, and find out their habits while fighting. And oh, can we please talk about his elite ground game? As a response to Volk's relentless forward-pushing style, his opponents usually end up cornered against the cage, leaving them no choice but to clinch up with him. After that, it's only a matter of time before Alexander trips them to the floor, because his understanding of weight placement and which joints to target is insane. And oh, when the match goes to the floor, Volkanovski delivers an explosive ground and pound, so lethal that even the strongest of guards can't hold up. I mean, with strikers, it's common to be very picky when shooting for a takedown, but because of his background in rugby, he's not afraid of giving his opponents a spear from down under. Fun fact, the first sport that Alexander picked up in his whole career was a grappling sport, starting Greco-Roman wrestling at an early age and winning a national championship by the time he was 12. So you can say for him, grappling hits closer to home than any other fight style. Not to mention, he's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, giving elite submission specialists a run for their money. Heck, he's demolished Brian Ortega, and that guy's been trained by a Renair Gracie. So even the highest levels of BJJ can't get a loss out of Volk either. On the other hand, when he fought Islam Makhachev, a Dagestani wrestler, known to have the hardest ground game after Khabib, Volk was able to match his skills so well that some people he was robbed of the belt after the match, which is insane considering the Aussie is mainly a striker. But what makes Alexander terrifying is how he uses all of his skills together in his iconic fighting style. You see, with both his grappling and striking being top-notch, Volk is one of the most complete fighters in the UFC, giving him a wide range of deadly moves. All of that, combined with his insane fight IQ, makes him a living nightmare in the octagon. Since Volkanovski is always digging into his enemies, he's at his most dangerous in close range, because he can use his explosive striking, but can just as easily transition to a clinch whenever he sees an opening. This will come in handy in his fight at UFC 290 against Yair Rodriguez, especially since getting close to the Mexican striker will take away his long-range kicks. A big part of his style stems from his surreal speed and strength, allowing complicated and unexpected combos. Sometimes he'll start off with a simple 1-2 and shift gears at lightning speed for a takedown, seamlessly picking his opponent apart little by little. Also, considering how his short and bulky body type, scoring a takedown on Volk is a huge problem, and he knows it. This is why you'll see him pushing hard on the offense. He's also a master at using his physique to his advantage. Whenever he clinches, he can change levels with ease, down to his opponent's hips because of his shorter height, then uses his incredible strength to lift them up, only to take them down to the octagon floor. After learning grounded striking was his strong suit, Volk combined his Muay Thai into his ground and pound technique, making him insanely lethal on top of his opponents. Honestly, he dominates even from half mount, but if he does manage to completely pass his opponent's guard, it's game over for them. And even if his competition manages to get off their feet, they can't seem to break his superhuman chin. If you're fighting anything like Volk, there's no way you're gonna leave the match without taking some hardcore hits. I mean, he's literally faced the toughest strikers, like Max Holloway, the Korean Zombie, and Jose Aldo, but they still weren't able to finish him off. Honestly, what could be scarier than throwing everything you have at a guy, and he takes it completely unfazed? Alex's endurance doesn't only hold up through strikes, it's helped him through some brutal submissions as well. Just look at his fight against Brian Ortega at UFC 266, where the BJ specialist had locked in a tight vise, an airtight guillotine choke on the Aussie. It looked as though Ortega was going to win via decapitation. He had his legs latched around Volk's hips and was pulling as hard as he could, and just when it felt like all hope was lost, Alexander broke out of the hold, got to his feet, and still ended up winning the match by decision, which just goes to show that this man has no quit in him at all. But what truly keeps the champ's challengers up at night is his unreal EMA record. You see, ever since he started his career back in 2012, Volk has been racking up win after win through multiple fighting leagues. I mean, everyone knows him as the featherweight champion in the UFC, but before that, he's racked up lightweight and welterweight championships belts in other promotions. So when I talk about a true pound-for-pound champion, Alexander fits the bill perfectly. Not only that, but up until his controversial defeat at UFC 284, he'd never lost a single fight in his whole time at the promotion. And even now, he's undefeated as a featherweight throughout his whole career. Many people have tried, but not one of them could take him down. He's leagues beyond his competition and has proved it time and time again, with 4 title defenses since he won the championship in 2019. So unless Yair Rodriguez can pull off a miracle at UFC 290, it seems like Volkanovski is going to remain the champion for as long as he likes. So there you have it, fight fans. From his unbelievable career, making him one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC, to the great's inhuman cardio leaving the best fighters behind begging for air, that was exactly why fighters fear Alex Volkanovski.